Hello, my name is James Miles and I'm the Digital Products and Outreach Manager for the Cathedral and Church Buildings Division. My role is mainly to oversee the Church Heritage Record and the online faculty system, but my work also extends to other areas which include data management, manipulation, and working with dioceses in terms of producing diocesan strategic review datasets. The online faculty system is something that each diocese now uses as a day-to-day system to manage the faculty process. I am the main administrator for the system. The system is an online planning portal which is accessible to all key stakeholders. It allows for faculty applications, for alterations, additions or repair for works determined by the diocesan chancellors, together with the ability to record List A items, to process List B determinations by archdeacons, together with the application of temporary minor reordering licenses, again approved by your archdeacons. The system currently has two versions of legislation, which are the 2015 version and the 2019. Changes will soon be made to update the system again with the introduction of the new rules, which will come live in July. These will see changes to some of the site processes that we have online, together with new variations on the list A and B items to allow for more works to be approved by your archdeacon rather than your chancellor. The system is currently used by 36 dioceses across the country. There's a couple that haven't yet joined the system but are looking at doing so. And there is one diocese in particular who invested in their own system. Within those 36 dioceses, we have over 42,000 applications that are either ongoing or have been processed through the site. This includes List A, B and faculty cases. In total, we have just over 19,000 members. Most of these are petitioners assigned to individual churches and to individual parishes. And then from this, because we have a slight variation in terms of how people use the site, in terms of the private side for the church and the public side in terms of the Church Heritage Record, we've had over 12 million individual page views, which is quite a large number for a system that is generally used by a small number of people. The online system allows for separate registrations for each type of user within the faculty process. So these are the parishes, petitioners, the archdeacons, DAC secretaries, registrars, chancellors, and external consultees. Parishes can have as many users assigned to the system as needed. Generally speaking, we recommend two. To allow for cases to be progressed as needed by these individuals. They have access to the cases for the particular buildings that are assigned to them. They get sent emails with various things that they need to do, and they have the ability to add QI reports as part of the 5-year process. Likewise, we have a system available to also allow for inspectors to have direct access to these individual churches to add QI reports. Archdeacons can access cases within their archdeaconry only, allowing them to determine cases that have been sent to them. They also then receive emails attached to any List A, B application, as well as any ongoing faculty case that's been approved. The DAC secretary is the main gatekeeper for the system per diocese. They oversee the registration process for each type of user assigned to the diocese, and these particular individuals receive the most number of emails, together with the kind of greater responsibility of how a case progresses from start to finish. Effectively, the DAC secretary has access to cases within their diocese, They have editing rights to act on behalf of parishes. So in some cases, particularly those parishes that may not have the technical capabilities, sometimes the DAC secretary will kind of step in to kind of take over cases or start cases on their behalf. They receive emails for everything sent to the DAC in parishes. Registrars will again have access to cases across the diocese, and they will receive notifications attached to their various works that they need to do in relation to the Chancellor. And likewise, the Chancellor has access to the diocese. Consultees under the 2015 legislation have a read-only access for cases assigned to them within their registration process, which is defined per diocese. Under the 2019 legislation, there was a change to this process to allow for an online response system to be introduced, allowing for external consultees to provide responses on an online platform. This will be greatly enhanced under the next iteration through a slight change in legislation, which requests for more use of this system. These are the main types of registrations that we have. There are a couple of others, but as part of this presentation, we don't need to kind of go into those details. Generally speaking, when working with the site, the main people that I kind of work with are the DAC secretaries and the registrars, and I'll be on hand to assist in any case that may arise where I need to be kind of consulted. Under the 2015 version of the system, and the reason why we have two separate versions at the minute is because cases started under the 2015 legislation, which are still being determined by the registrars and chancellors with a valid notification of advice, are still active. So we still provide this system. This provides an overview of an almost complete faculty case, which includes a kind of brief overview of the necessary forms that are needed to be completed. Under the 2015 version, it used to be a case of asking a parish to complete as much as possible and then kind of going through and then providing the system or workarounds to kind of complete cases. This wasn't really practical in terms of how an online system should operate. So under the 2019 variation, changes were made to add more of a step-by-step process, making sure that forms were completed in a sensible order and correctly and in full, rather than finding out that when a faculty case was submitted to the registry, that part of the petition, for example, was not completed because the parish first completed that petition document at the very beginning of the process rather than at the very end. So under the 2019 version, we changed how a case works, and you can kind of see from this overview that there are a number of more forms that we kind of introduced, and there's a help section within the website that provides a step-by-step guide on how to use the system, but effectively there are more stages that an individual has to go through in order to move a case forward. This is where the DAC secretary role comes in as the gatekeeper, because they are then used as the main person overseeing sometimes a team who can kind of review these cases and see whether or not they are ready to be submitted to the DAC as a whole, and then submitted on to the registry as a formal application. The website as well has a public access route, so most of the content that we have is completely private to those who are registered for the system. Under the 2019 legislation, there are certain types of cases that need to be made available to members of the public. So we have a public access section whereby members can view ongoing faculty applications. And this used to be a requirement for some types of cases that fall under Rule 9.9, whereby cases had to be published on a diocesan website. And this has changed slightly just to allow for a central system to be used for members of the public to access. Within these public access cases, certain forms are made available, as well as any supporting documentation which has been assigned to be made public by the DAC Secretary or the Registrar. The Church Heritage Record is a separate system that's integrated with the online faculty system. Basically, every record that we have is linked together. So some forms, such as Form 1, which is the standard information, is enriched by the content that we have within the Church Heritage Record, thereby saving time for parishes to complete this form, because we can just simply pull this information out of an already completed data set. So this provides some overview of a particular Church Heritage Record, of St John the Baptist. Within each Heritage Records page, you can access content around core details, location, buildings, interior, churchyard, significance, condition, and then an audit. Within this kind of view, we link to various external data sets where possible, so things like the listing grade details, as well as the scheduled monument, whether or not they sit within a national park conservation area, whether or not they're within a heritage at risk status. And then within this, we then provide as much information as we can to these external sources as a way for individuals to find more information. And this is helpful for parishes as well as for members of the public. Some of our content is quite detailed, whereas other records have not yet been completed, simply because it requires some input from those individuals who know about these churches to kind of add this in. Under the DAC Secretary role, this content can be edited where an edit button is available. But you can maybe see from this kind of view here that we have things like internal fixtures and fittings that we're working on, and we're now able to kind of work with these external bodies to try and list things like number of bells that are found within each church. Together with this, we've just completed a project to create an overview of all of our churchyards in the country. So per record within the churchyard tab of each record, there should be an outline of the churchyards associated with a particular building. The top view here provides an outline. It also shows the number of listed buildings that are found within the local area. So within this churchyard, there are 2 separate listed buildings that are found. And then in the lower example, we also then provide a spatial data set around scheduled ancient monuments. And again, these are highlighted in red. And within this particular church, just on the right-hand side, there are 3 separate scheduled monuments found within the churchyard. We also provide, as part of this, a list view. So the scheduled monument and listed buildings are found in the top table on the right. And we also then work with external bodies to try and gain information about biodiversity. So on the bottom right here, we have information attached to ancient veteran trees. And then we're also working with Caring for God's Acre to produce a data set around protected species that will also be made available underneath this churchyard tab. One ongoing project that is relevant to DAC secretaries and for those who use the contact management system, which is provided to each diocese, is a faculty management system which will provide basically an all-in-one shop to allow for individual tracking of cases and production of agendas and minutes around the necessary things that each DAC secretary requires to provide to each diocesan advisory committee. This is ongoing. It's hopefully going to be released fairly soon, but this will effectively link the contact management system, which provides all your information about contacts within each church, together with the online faculty system, to provide a separate DAC casework system that you can then use. I can help with a large number of things. So the online faculty system and Church Heritage Record are 2 things that I manage at a national level. But my background is in computational archaeology, and I have a wealth of experience with digital processes. and computational methods that are used across the heritage sector. I've also been part of the GDPR working group, which kind of introduced the GDPR within the Church of England. I work with data quite a lot now within the work that I do, not only in terms of recording and manipulating it, but trying to analyse this. And as part of that, I produce annually a diocesan strategic review data set, which provides basically an overview of what's happening within your diocese in relation to the buildings, the people who use them, and the finances attached to things like parish attendance. These are my contact details. If you ever need to get in touch, please just email me and I'll hopefully be able to help. Thank you.